everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy you could be here with me today. In today's video, we are going to be making one of my favorite recipes. We're going to be stepping away a little bit from my seasonal reset. We will continue with another video after this one with that. But for today, we're going to be making up my chicken and rice recipe, which is a great meal for this time of the year because it's very warming. And it's a great comfort food, and I just love it. My whole family really loves it, and it actually even tastes better the next day. So it's a great recipe, and I hope you like it. So here are my chicken breasts. Actually, these are tenders. I normally, anytime I cook meat, I like to take it out and let it get as close to room temperature as possible. That actually helps with the cooking. And what I'm going to do is what I did is just rinse these and put them out on paper towel to dry. And I will be chopping these up in chunks and putting them in some water and let those boil before we use them in our chicken and rice recipe. These are the other ingredients for the chicken and rice recipe. What I have is some white basmati rice. I have some paprika, some kosher salt. I'm going to be using one red bell pepper, some onions, some bouillon paste, and some carrots, celery, and yeah, so this is everything that's going to be going in the chicken and rice recipe. So let's get these vegetables chopped up, and yeah, we'll go to the next step. Just going through chopping up my vegetables here. Just noticed a lot of the carrots, it's really hard to find uniform carrots anymore. So and I usually like to have them, look the same size. I managed to get these all peeled up, but normally if there's some really big ones like this one here, I will go ahead and either shred that and apply it on my salads, or I will use it in my smoothie recipe. But yeah, let's get the rest of the vegetables prepped. All right, so we chopped up our chicken and we put it in some water. We're gonna get that going. You will see scum raised to the top. We're going to go ahead and actually take that out. We're gonna spoon it out and let the chicken continue to boil. And once it's boiled, we're going to remove it. We're gonna save the broth and yeah, continue on with the rest of the recipe. All right, I've got the vegetables chopped up. We've got our red pepper here. We've got some carrots, some celery, some onions, and I do save the leaves from the celery. I go ahead and throw those in my smoothies, and yeah, so, and towards the end, I'm going to actually do the red peppers and the onions first, and then I will add the carrots and the celery. And then towards the end, I'm gonna throw in the rice and the chicken. So yeah, so these are all prepped and ready to go. Right, so our chicken started to boil, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of scum on the top. I'm gonna go ahead and clean that out. I've actually been cleaning it. There's quite a bit here. So we're just gonna continue to boil that, and yeah, until the chicken is nice and tender. I'm actually gonna lower the heat a little bit and just let it simmer. Yeah, looking good. As you can see, our chicken is still boiling. There's not very much scum left. I normally like to do this with any kind of chunked meat that I use in my recipes, whether it's my beef stew or this chicken and rice recipe. Anytime I'm using chunks of meat, I usually go ahead and just do this process. So it looks pretty good. I'm just gonna lower the heat now and just let it boil for a couple more minutes, and then we'll be ready to finish up the recipe. All right, it looks like our chicken is actually ready to get transferred over to a plate. Normally, if you can just take it and it falls apart like that, it means it's ready, because it will cook a little bit extra once we put in all the other ingredients. So yeah, we'll go ahead and transfer it over to a plate. Let's transfer the chicken over to this plate here. There we go. We're just gonna drain that, transfer it over here. Just make sure we get all the pieces. A couple more left there. And I think that should do it. Oh, no, one more. Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna turn the heat off. We're gonna save our broth, and because we'll be adding the broth paste to it and making like a broth for the chicken and rice. Now we've got the water boiling, and we're going to be adding in our broth paste. We're just going to be mixing it in and just letting that dissolve and boil up, and we will have it ready for the recipe. Okay, so we've got our pot here, and we are going to be adding some olive oil, and then we're going to be adding our onions and our peppers. I'm gonna keep lowered a little bit. Yeah, so we're gonna actually just saute this on low until the onion turns nice and translucent. We are also going to be adding some salt. What I like to do is when I cook is add salt in layers, and usually this will be the first layer when I add the onions. All right, we'll just go ahead and keep sauteing our onions and peppers until they get nice and translucent. All right, so we got our broth boiled here, and I turned it off. It's all dissolved. So we are ready to go to the next step. All right, our onion and peppers are looking really good. And at this point, we're going to be adding our celery and also our carrots. I mean, it's up to you of how much vegetables you want. You can have more vegetables, you can have more meat. It really depends. It's a personal preference. I like to have a good amount of vegetables and rice and less meat. But it's up to you how you want to actually measure that out. So yeah, I'm going to continue mixing these vegetables up. I'm going to add actually another layer of salt at this point. And then just continue to mix those until they are nice and soft. It's at this point that I'm going to add a good amount of paprika. I would say a good tablespoon or more, because that's what gives it the color. Gives it a nice reddish color. I'm gonna go ahead and mix that in. And then the next thing that's gonna go in is the rice. I'm gonna go ahead and continue to stir this, and I'll get that rice rinsed and ready to go in. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse my rice and get that ready to throw into the pot with the vegetables. All right, so in goes the rice. Got about 1 cup here. And like I said, it's a preference how much rice you want, as far as if you like more rice or more vegetables or more meat. It's really up to you. So I'm going to continue actually to mix this. Gotta get my pot a little bit hotter. So yeah, the next step, the chicken will be going in. I'll go ahead and continue to stir this for a minute or so. And then the last step will be the chicken and the broth. All right, so I got my rice nice and toasted. It really opens up all of the flavors. Sauteing everything together just really brings out all the flavors of the vegetables and the rice. And now I'm just going to be adding my chicken. And I'm going to go ahead and mix that up. And then we'll go ahead and actually I'm going to add another layer of salt here. And then we're going to go ahead and add our broth, which is the last thing that we're going to be adding to this recipe until we actually I've thrown a little bit of fresh parsley towards the end because I like the little bit of green that it gives the dish. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue to mix this a little bit and then throw in the broth. All right, I'm gonna try and maneuver this with one hand while holding the camera, but I'm going to try and add the broth, which is the last thing that we're gonna add to this recipe. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and add the whole thing because we actually prefer that it's a little bit brothy and not really dry. And that should be good. So I'm gonna let that boil up. I'm gonna cover it and just let it simmer for at least a half an hour. And then we'll check to see where it's at after a half an hour. All right. Okay, our chicken rice has been boiling for a half an hour. We're gonna go ahead and check it now. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's really good. It's got a little bit of sauce, which is good. That way it won't be dry. And right now, I shut the heat off. I'm gonna go ahead and add my parsley. And just to give it that little bit of green color. And I just love the smell of parsley. This is actually from my garden. It's starting to get cold out, so I ended up pulling a couple of leaves. And yeah, we'll go ahead and plate this. It looks really good. So I went ahead and put some of the chicken and rice in a bowl. As you can see, there's chunks of chicken, lots of vegetables, a little bit of green from the parsley. And yeah, it turned out really good, very flavorful. And I hope you give it a try. It's the perfect meal for this time of the year. A very good comfort food. So hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching my video, and hope to see you next time.